Well, hello there, fifth graders. How are you today? I am back to talk to you about poetry. You might notice I look a little different. Do you remember what poem we're working on this whole week? The Road Not Taken. That's right. How many of you are enjoying this poem? It's a little tricky, but it dawned on me today that this whole poem is kind of like one big would you rather game. Right? Because there's two roads that he's talking about. He's at one spot and it forks into two roads, and he has to choose one of them. And so it's kind of like, would you rather do this one or this one? Would you rather do this one or this one? And over and over. And so we're going to play a little would you rather right now. I am going to make this part a little bit bigger so you can see me. And we're going to start with would you rather root for the Broncos or the Chiefs? And if you're not a football fan, that's okay. These are two football teams. I did not grow up a football fan, but my family loves football. And so I've become a Chiefs fan, but one of my sons is a Broncos fan. So would you rather vote for the Broncos, root for the Broncos, or the Chiefs? I choose Chiefs. Okay, I've got another one for you. Would you rather, where's my stuff? Would you rather watch TV or play video games? I would rather watch TV. Would you rather have a hot drink, like hot chocolate or cider, or if you're me, coffee, or a cold drink, like water? Hot drink, cold drink. I'd rather have coffee. Would you rather write with red or with blue? I would rather write with blue. Would you rather use a pencil or a pen? I would rather use a pen. So those are some would you rather questions for you. Now that you have would you rather on the brain, we can talk more about the road not taken. That's what we're going to do today. Okay? Let me make this a little bit smaller now that you don't need to see all my props. And yesterday we talked about understanding poetry. When we understand poetry, we know in our head what it means. Today, we are going to interpret poetry. That means that we can go one step beyond knowing what it means, and we can explain to someone else what it means. So yesterday, we went through each stanza of the poem, and we answered questions about each stanza. Today, we're going to do something similar, but just a step beyond. And you will need this page in your bundle. Okay, it says comprehension check at the top. And you are going to get to explain or interpret what each stanza means in this poem. And so we are going to do stanza 1 together. But first, what is a stanza? We learned a little bit about this yesterday. Anybody remember? Hopefully you are thinking something like this in your head. Read this with me, please. A stanza is a section or a verse of a song or poem. And here we've got the road not taken. So you can see a space in between each stanza. So let's count the stanzas in this poem. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right. There are 4 stanzas in the road not taken. And just like we did yesterday, we're going to go through stanza by stanza, or you are actually in your work today, and you're going to interpret or explain what it means. Let's do stanza 1 together, okay? And here we go, back with our 2 roads. Remember, it's like a would you rather game. Here's 2 roads. Would you rather take this one or this one? So let's read about these 2 roads today. Would you follow in your head while I read out loud? 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. So we're going to go through this top box together, stanza 1. And that's what we just read. Okay. And it says right here, it tells us what's going on. The speaker is in the woods, and he comes to a spot in the road where the road is forked, right? So one road, have you ever faced a fork in the road before, where you're on one road and it suddenly splits into two, or maybe even three or four? In this poem, the road forks and splits into two roads, and he's going to choose one. So right here, it tells us the speaker is sorry, and then it has a dot, dot, dot. What does that dot, dot, dot mean? We call it an ellipsis, fancy reading word. So tell your parents today, you could ask them, do you know what an ellipsis is? And see if you can stump them. An ellipsis is a fancy word for those three dots. And that means it wants us to complete that sentence. So the speaker is sorry because, let's see if we can read this stanza and figure it out. Would you read line 2 right here with me? And sorry, I could not travel both. So why is he sorry? Because he couldn't choose both of the roads. Maybe today in my Would You Rather game, this is the one I was stumped on. Maybe you wanted to choose both. For me, when it comes to hot drinks, I love coffee. And when it comes to cold drinks, I love water. You've probably seen this bottle on my desk when you're in class because I drink water, cold water, all throughout the day. So it's hard for me to choose between cold and hot. And I think that Robert Frost, the author of our poem, felt the same way. He was sorry he could not choose both of these roads. So on your paper, to complete this sentence, the speaker is sorry that he couldn't choose both roads. You would write something like that right here to complete that sentence. Let's look right underneath that. It says he. What did he do? Let's keep reading and see. It says, and be one traveler, long I stood. So he stood for a long time and looked down one as far as I could. So what did he do? He stood there and he looked down the roads for a long time. Why do you think he did this? Probably trying to figure out which one was better than the other. Sometimes we look at things to figure out which one we should choose. And I think that's what this author is doing. So where it says he, you need to tell me what he did. He looked down the roads for a long time. And then right under that, it says until. He looked down the roads for a long time until what? And it says right here, to where it bent in the undergrowth. So he looked down them until he saw that road bend. And do you remember what undergrowth is? This was one of our vocabulary words. We talked about it on Monday. Right. It's the plants, the little bushes and plants that are growing right at the bottom of the woods. Okay. And they kind of even grow under other plants and trees. That's called the undergrowth. So he looked down that road until he saw it bend in the undergrowth. So that is how I want you to fill out this first box up here. Hopefully you filled that out with me as you went. Okay. And then after this video, you are going to do the same thing for the other 3 stanzas. So you'll go to stanza 2 and you'll read this box. And this is where you're explaining or interpreting what each line in the stanza means. And then for stanza 3, it's right here. You'll do the same thing. Fill out this box, explain what it means. And then for stanza 4, fill in this box and explain what it means. So you are interpreting or explaining poetry today, and you're practicing on this page called Comprehension Check. Okay? Now I want to review inference with you. What is an inference? This top line right here refreshes our memory. Would you read it with me? And I want to see you do the motions, or hopefully your mom or dad or whoever's home with you can see you do these motions. So to infer, we take what we read plus what we know, and it equals what we infer. We make a decision, okay? Poetry is text. Remember, text is anything we read. So we can use poetry to make inferences. What can we infer in this poem, The Road Not Taken? So you have a chart, and yesterday you did a little bit of inferring on your question page. Today, you're going to turn over your comprehension check, and you have this inferencing graphic organizer, and there's a few questions at the bottom. First, I want to tell you right here, it says continued on the back. It's not, okay? This is the one we started together in this video, and then this is the inferencing one, and there's not an extra. It's this page, okay? So you are going to use this poem to make inferences, and I want to get started with you. And so this table right here on my screen looks just like this table on your inferencing page, and they give you some information. And then I want you to come up with as many missing boxes as you can. Okay. Now you're going to go through this because we've been practicing interpreting poetry by stanza. So you're going to go through each stanza. So these numbers over here, that whole row will be about that stanza. So this top row is all about stanza 1. Okay. And we're going to fill in, I want you to fill in as many of these columns as you can. So let's look at number 1, which is already done. Okay. That will be our example. We'll kind of work through this together. And then after this video, I want you to fill in the rest of these boxes, as many as you can. Okay. So the geographical location. What does geographical location mean? It means where it's happening. That's right. Okay. And so where is stanza 1 happening? It's happening in a yellow wood and 2 roads met. Okay. Time period. Do we know a time period on this one? Not really. We can infer that it's probably during the day because he sees lots of details, and you can see those in the light of day. You can't see the details in the dark. So we could infer that this is happening in the day. But beyond that, we don't know much about this time period. Then let's look at the emotional condition. What does emotional condition mean? Feelings. How is the speaker feeling? We talked a few minutes ago in stanza 1, he's feeling sorry. Okay, we can infer that. Actually, we can read it right there. It even says the word sorry. And when someone says that they're sorry, we can take that. We know they're feeling bad or sorry that they can't do something. And then his occupation or daily life is a traveler. He tells us that right in this poem. So then using these clues, what can we infer from this stanza? Well, we can infer that it's fall because the leaves are yellow. It tells us the wood is yellow. And we know that in the fall, the leaves turn yellow. We also know that they fall down, and he describes throughout this poem the leaves on the ground. So we can use those two things. We can use what we read, that the leaves are yellow and that they're on the ground, plus what we know about the fall to infer that it must be fall in this poem. So then you're going to take stanza 2 and do the same thing. Fill out as many boxes as it gives you information for. So what's the location? Where is it happening? What's the time period? What is the emotional condition, or how is the author feeling? And what is his occupation? That would be a job, or what's going on in his daily life. Fill in as many of those 4 boxes as you can for stanza 2, and then make an inference. What is happening in stanza 2? Then you'll do the same for stanza 3 and stanza 4. 5th graders, The Road Not Taken is a complex poem, and you are working hard at it. Way to go. I'm excited to see some of your answers in these bundles and hear what you're learning from this poem this week. Okay, so and then one more thing I just want to go over with you real quick. It is one more social studies day, and then tomorrow you'll move on to science. And so for social studies today, you have a short passage to read about some things in the New England colonies. And then I want you to find the facts in this story and the opinions. So good reading skills there, facts and opinions. Remember, a fact can be proven. Okay, this is factual information. It's teaching you something. An opinion is how somebody feels or believes about something. It cannot be proven, and it shows someone's personal belief. So, quick review about fact and opinion. And today I want you to read the passage and then identify the facts and the opinions below. Please email me if you have any questions. I would love to work through this with you. Oh, I want to leave you with one last would you rather question. Right here. Would you rather wear a hat like this one or a hat like this one? They're both orange. I like orange. So I won't tell you my answer. I'll leave that with you. Have a great day.